So 2 years ago, the UK voted to leave the European Union, and we are still no closer to a deal, and time is actually running out. So the two things that have so far been agreed are the principles of the divorce bill between the UK and the EU, and also in March this year, a conditional transition arrangement was also agreed. So that's when the UK will stay in the EU until the end of 2020, but it won't be subject to any of the decision-making process, although it will still be free to negotiate free trade deals with countries outside of the EU. So the main reasons for the delay in the negotiation process has been infighting in the UK government itself. So they're currently divided over two main options. So a customs partnership is when the UK would collect tariffs on behalf of the EU, but many people argue that this would in effect be staying in a customs partnership. The other option is maximum facilitation, or max-fac, and that's when they use technology and trusted trader schemes to monitor the physical border instead of a physical presence. But again, the technology for this is not going to be ready on time, although this option would solve the Irish border issue. And there's also a third option which is also emerging, which is that the UK could stay in the single market for goods only, but this would mean that it would be subject to the rules of the European Court of Justice, and also it would have to pay and contribute towards the EU budget. So we predict in our baseline scenario that we will reach a delayed free trade agreement with the EU. So the UK will stay in the EU until the end of 2020 and will reach a deal in 2020 at some point during that year. We haven't ruled out the possibility of a no-deal Brexit, although the probability of this has declined significantly over the last year. So right now our probability stands at 25 to 35%. So there is still a chance that the UK and the EU will not reach a deal, and negotiations will break down and the UK will leave the EU in March 2019. And this scenario would certainly have the most negative impact on the UK economy, industries and consumers. So for example, real GDP growth would reach just 0.3% in 2019 in a no deal versus 1.3% in our delayed FTA baseline scenario.